Let's start with a pretty hard truth today.
Oh boy. Lay it on me.
Well, if you are learning English, there is this one massive, just seemingly unbeatable excuse that probably holds you back more than, complicated grammar rules
What?
or endless vocabulary lists.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
Right. If you are listening to this right now, you definitely know the excuse I'm talking about. It's that frustrating little voice in your head that says, I just don't have anyone.
Anyone to practice with. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is the ultimate roadblock, isn't it?
It really is.
I mean, you can study flashcards all day long. You can memorize verb conjugations until your eyes hurt. But without a speaking partner, true fluency just feels completely out of reach. It feels like you're learning how to swim by reading a book.
Which never works.
Exactly, rather than actually getting into the water. But what if we completely flip that assumption on its head? What if that roadblock is actually just an illusion?
I love looking at it that way because today we are going to completely crush that excuse, just destroy it once and for all. Welcome to English for Everyone.
Glad to be here.
The mission of today's deep dive is simple, but I think it's absolutely revolutionary. You do not need a speaking partner to gain fluency. In fact, your absolute best, most reliable, patient practice partner is already right there with you.
It's you.
It is you.
So we are going to break down 9 highly effective, completely unique techniques to practice your English speaking entirely alone. And the beauty of this roadmap we're laying out is that you don't have to follow it rigidly.
Right, you can mix and match.
Yeah, experiment with these ideas. Find what actually resonates with your lifestyle. Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is simply fluency. It genuinely does not matter how you arrive there as long as you're putting in the effort.
Exactly. So let's jump right into the practical side of this. If I'm sitting at home right now feeling completely alone in my English journey, what is the very first thing I can do to start having a conversation?
The very first step is to utilize something you already have in your house. A mirror.
A mirror.
Okay. Yeah. When you stand in front of a mirror, you literally solve the no partner problem because you have a person standing right in front of you.
Yourself.
Exactly. You can practice maintaining direct eye contact with yourself, which incredibly mimics the psychological pressure of a real social interaction.
But wait, I have to push back on that a little bit. Isn't that incredibly awkward?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, if I stand in front of my bathroom mirror and just start talking to myself, I am going to feel ridiculous. How do you get past that initial embarrassment?
It absolutely feels a little silly at first, but that is exactly why it works. The psychological benefit here is massive. Maintaining eye contact, even with your own reflection, it builds incredible confidence.
It's because you're facing yourself.
Right. You push through that awkwardness in a safe space where nobody's judging you. You don't need to overthink what to say. You just start asking yourself simple questions and answering them.
Like what?
Discuss how your day went. Talk about what you ate for lunch, the commute to work, or the people you met during the day.
So it's essentially about getting comfortable, simply moving your mouth and making the sounds while looking at a human face, even if it is your own face.
Yes.
But it goes beyond just reciting boring facts, right?
Yes.
I imagine you can use the mirror to express deeper emotions.
Precisely. Once you get past the stage of talking about your lunch, you start talking about how you're actually feeling.
Right.
Are you stressed? Are you excited? You just let your guard down and be expressive. It's almost like you are becoming friends with yourself. And while you're expressing those genuine feelings, you are subconsciously improving your English.
Because you're not overthinking it anymore.
Exactly. You stop focusing so much on the mechanics of the language, like worrying if you use the right past tense, and you start focusing on the communication of your emotions. Unknowingly, you're wiring your brain to process emotional thoughts directly in English without translating from your native language first.
That makes a lot of sense. But obviously, you cannot carry a mirror around with you all day. What happens when you leave the house? How do you keep that solo practice going when you're out and about?
You take the exact same concept and you just remove the mirror. You simply talk to yourself.
Just out loud?
Yeah. The great thing about this is you can do it absolutely anywhere. You could be walking down the street, doing the dishes in your kitchen, or sitting in traffic in your car. You just narrate your day out loud, like you're the narrator of your own movie.
Again, I have to ask about the public aspect of this. If I am walking down the street, talking out loud, won't people look at me like I have lost my mind?
Well, you don't have to shout. You can murmur quietly under your breath, Or in today's world, just put some headphones in.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, everyone will just assume you are on a phone call. The point is to verbalize your thoughts. You can discuss your big aspirations, what you want to achieve for your family, or even talk about the kind of partner you want to marry someday. The topics are truly endless.
But what if my mind goes blank? Sometimes I sit down to practice and I just stare at the wall because I have no idea what to talk about.
That happens to everyone. But we live in an incredible technological era. If you hit a wall and run out of things to say, you can literally just ask an AI like ChatGPT to generate a list of conversation starters for you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you just type in, give me 10 interesting topics to talk about for English practice,
Yeah.
and suddenly you have a week's worth of material.
That is a brilliant way to use technology. Now, narrating your own life is great, but real conversations are dynamic. They involve back and forth.
Right.
If I am by myself, how do I practice the dynamic nature of a real conversation where someone might ask me an unexpected question?
That is where you introduce role play. This is where you become two completely different characters.
Okay, how does that work?
The classic, most effective setup is playing both the interviewer and the interviewee. It forces you to think from two entirely different perspectives and use different sets of vocabulary.
So how does that look in practice? Am I just sitting in a chair talking to an empty wall?
You can make it as physical as you want. As the interviewer, you sit up very straight, maybe use a serious professional voice, and ask a standard question like, what interests you in this job?
Right.
Then, you physically shift your posture, relax your shoulders, become the interviewee, and answer, I love this company. Everything I have heard about this organization is amazing.
I feel like you could really have fun with that. It doesn't have to be a totally serious, rigid corporate interview.
Not at all. In fact, the funnier you make it, the better. You could ask yourself, what makes you different from the other candidates? And throw in a wild, humorous answer like, well, I have 4.5 million YouTube subscribers, which makes me a whole lot different.
That's hilarious.
Right. Being a little playful, or even a bit arrogant in a fictional role play, it removes the fear of making mistakes. It lowers your stress. It proves that you do not need other people to practice spoken English.
Because you're having fun with it.
Exactly. Complaining about not having a partner is genuinely just a way to delay your own success. When you stop complaining and start role-playing, you will see immediate shifts in your speaking confidence.
So we are building this toolkit. We have the mirror, we have narrating our lives, and we have role-playing. You mentioned AI earlier for getting topic ideas, but I know there's a massive craze right now where people are using AI for much more than just lists.
Oh, absolutely.
How can we use tools like ChatGPT to take this solo conversation practice even further?
You can ask the AI to literally write a 5-minute dialogue between two characters.
Really?
Yes. You give it a prompt, for example, tell it to write a script about two best friends catching up after 10 years apart. Or a mother and a daughter having a disagreement over a messy bedroom. Within seconds, you have a custom script.
But just reading text off a screen does not automatically make you a better speaker. I feel like if I just read it, I would sound like a robot.
Exactly, and that is the critical part. You cannot just robotically read the words. That completely defeats the purpose. You have to treat it like an acting class for English learners.
An acting class. I love.
You have to get completely into character. You become friend number one, deliver the line, and then you become friend number two.
So it's really about focusing on the delivery, not just the words themselves.
Yes, you have to focus intensely on your intonation, the rise and fall of your voice. You need to make sure you have clear sounds and proper articulation. You need to speak exactly how a friend would speak in real life.
With all the little nuances.
Right. That means including all the natural pauses, the sighs, the little laughs, and the emotional inflections. If the script says the character is angry, you need to sound angry.
That sounds incredibly engaging. But here is a problem I think a lot of learners face. If you are practicing completely alone in your room, acting out an AI script, how do you know if you are actually doing a good job?
That's a great point.
How do you get feedback if there is no teacher there to correct your pronunciation?
That is a fantastic question. And it brings us to a specific type of technology that is designed exactly for this. Conversation apps.
Okay.
If you go to your app store on your phone and search for Talk English apps, you will find tools that literally millions of people are using. And they leave glowing reviews for them simply because they actually work.
How do they work exactly? Are you talking to a real person on the other side?
No, you're still practicing solo, which removes the pressure. You open a conversation scenario within the app, and you listen to a recorded native speaker deliver the first line.
Okay.
Then you hit the record button and you speak your character's response into your phone's microphone. But the real immense value of this method happens right after you finish. You play the entire conversation back.
Oh, wow. Listening to a recording of your own voice, that can be a little cringeworthy at first.
Very cringeworthy.
It might make you feel a bit embarrassed or awkward because we never sound the way we think we sound in our own heads.
It is absolutely cringeworthy the first few times. We all hate hearing our own voices. But you have to push past that discomfort because playing it back gives you instant objective feedback.
You can hear your own mistakes.
Exactly. You can hear exactly where your pronunciation dropped, where your rhythm felt unnatural, or where you stumbled over a consonant. It trains your ear to become your own best teacher.
I love that concept. Training your ear to be your own teacher.
So let's say I'm getting comfortable with these digital tools, but I want to challenge my vocabulary. I want to practice pulling words out of my brain on the spot rather than reading a script. How do I practice that kind of spontaneous description?
There are two fantastic ways to push your descriptive skills, and neither requires a speaking partner. The first is using a random picture-generating website on your phone or computer.
How does that work?
A random photo pops up on your screen, and you force yourself to spend 2 to 3 full minutes describing it out loud.
What exactly am I describing? Just saying, this is a dog, this is a house. You have to go much deeper than that. You talk about the specific colors, the lighting, the unspoken emotions of the people in the image. You name specific objects. Whether the picture shows a massive rusting cargo ship, a shiny vintage car, or a sweeping mountain landscape covered in snow.
So you're really digging for details.
Yes, it forces you to search for adjectives and nouns that you might not use in everyday conversation.
That sounds like a great brain exercise.
Yeah.
But what if I don't want to stare at a screen? Is there a way to practice this without a device?
Absolutely. And I actually prefer the second method because it is much more creative. You act like a movie director, scanning the very room you are sitting in.
A movie director.
Yeah. You describe exactly what you see right now, framing the shot out loud, as if you are setting up a scene for a film.
Okay, let me try that right now. So, if I am the director, I see a massive bright light directly in front of me, casting a sharp shadow on the wall. I see a complex camera setup tucked away in the corner. There is a heavy metal microphone resting on the wooden desk, thick gray curtains pulled aggressively to the side, a large glass window, and I can see cold wind blowing violently through the oak trees outside.
Exactly. That was perfect. Look at all the descriptive vocabulary you just used. Casting a sharp shadow, tucked away aggressively.
It kind of just flows once you get into the character.
Right. You talk about the innumerable things right there in your frame. Your environment is completely full of vocabulary waiting to be spoken. You just have to forget about whether anyone is watching you or if you feel silly. You have to put in the effort to actively observe and speak.
It really makes you realize how many objects we interact with daily but rarely name in our target language. Let's pivot a bit because I want to talk about how we consume media. We all love watching English TV shows and movies. Most of us just sit back on the couch, turn on Netflix, and relax. But I have a feeling you're going to tell me that is not the best way to practice.
You guessed it. Passive watching is fine for entertainment, but if you want to improve your fluency, you need to shift to active watching. When you turn on a hero with English subtitles, you need to remember you aren't there to relax and enjoy the story.
You're there to work.
You are there to work. This is a phenomenal drill called subtitle mimicking.
Walk me through the mechanics of subtitle mimicking. Am I just reading the subtitles as the actors speak?
No, because then you are just reading, not speaking. You sit with the TV remote in your hand. When a line of dialogue and its subtitle appear on the screen, you pause the show.
Okay, pause it.
Then you read those words out loud yourself. And again, just like with the AI scripts, you deliver them with full human emotion. The actors on screen are giving you the emotional blueprint. Your job is to match their tone, their anger, their sadness, or their joy.
That seems like it would do wonders for pronunciation, especially because English has so many words that look similar but sound completely different depending on the context.
Exactly. It helps you catch the subtle, yet vital differences in English words. Let me give you an example. Think about the word human, which means a person, and the word humane, which means showing compassion or kindness.
Right, they look very similar.
They look almost identical on paper. But if you are watching an intense medical drama and a doctor yells, "We need to find a humane way to treat this human," seeing that in the context of a dramatic TV scene and actively repeating it out loud cements that pronunciation difference in your mind forever.
That makes perfect sense. The emotional context makes the vocabulary sticky.
And it also builds your vocabulary through a highly effective concept known as spaced repetition.
What's that?
Basically, this means your brain remembers information much better if you review it at gradually increasing intervals. For example, learning a word today, seeing it again 2 days from now, and then hearing it a week later.
Oh, I see.
Because TV shows often revolve around specific themes, like a law show or a hospital drama, you will naturally hear the same advanced vocabulary words repeated at spaced intervals across different episodes. That natural repetition forces the words from your short-term memory into your long-term fluency.
We have talked a lot about digital tools, AI, apps, TV shows, but what about going old school? Is there still value in just picking up a physical book and reading it?
There is immense value in it. I like to think of reading a physical book out loud as the English gym.
The English gym.
Yeah, reading aloud is the equivalent of lifting heavy weights. It requires serious physical and mental exertion. It is infinitely better for your brain and your language skills than just scrolling passively through social media all day.
Why do you call it heavy lifting? What makes it so much harder than just having a casual conversation?
Because it hits every single language muscle simultaneously. Think about the multitasking your brain is doing. You are practicing reading comprehension as your eyes scan the page. You are practicing listening because you are actively hearing your own voice in the room. You are practicing speaking and pronunciation. And you are absorbing complex, proper grammar and vocabulary all at the exact same time. It is a full-body workout for your brain.
I always think about how this is taught in schools. I remember being in a classroom where the teacher would randomly call on a student to stand up and read a few paragraphs aloud from a novel. The pressure in that room was
Oh, I
intense.
remember that.
The goal wasn't just to mumble the words and get it over with. The goal was to read perfectly and passionately, making sure the emotion of the text reached every single person sitting in the back of that room.
That is exactly the energy you need to bring to your solo reading. You have to imagine you are reading to an audience that is hanging on your every word. When you read with that level of intention and focus, the language literally becomes a part of you.
Okay, so we have the intense workouts like the English gym and subtitle mimicking. But what about a lighter habit? Something I can do constantly throughout the day without needing a book, a screen, or even speaking out loud.
That brings us to mental translation. This is a quick, everyday habit that you can weave into your life no matter how incredibly busy you are. You take something simple, like any song you know well in your native language, and as you are walking down the street or waiting for the bus, you try to translate the lyrics into English in your head.
So it's just a constant background process. You don't need to set aside a full hour at a desk for this.
Exactly. You just do it 10 times a day while you are going about your normal routine. You look at a sign on the street, you translate it. You think about your grocery list, you translate it. It trains your brain to stop relying on your native tongue as a crutch and forces you to start thinking directly in English syntax.
It sounds like a very simple habit, but I imagine doing that every single day for months or years adds up to a massive advantage.
It is crucial to contextualize why this constant daily grind matters so much. This kind of tireless solo practice literally changes lives. Consider the real success stories of people who come from very average, middle-class backgrounds all over the world. Imagine someone whose native language is Hindi, growing up in an environment where English wasn't naturally spoken at home or in their immediate community.
But instead of making excuses about not having a partner, they practice fiercely. They use these exact techniques we were talking about. They translate in their head while riding the bus. They talk to the bathroom mirror every morning. They read heavy books aloud in their bedroom.
Precisely. And through that sheer unrelenting hard work, they're able to pass incredibly difficult, high-stakes language proficiency exams like the IELTS. And for those who might not know, the IELTS is an international standardized test that proves your English ability. Achieving a high score on that exam is often the strict requirement to secure a student visa or permanent residency in places like Canada, the UK, or Australia. By practicing alone in their bedroom, they completely change their own future and their family's entire trajectory. English is so much more than just a language. It is a vital tool that opens global doors.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means that the lack of a speaking partner is officially, permanently, just an excuse. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, from standing in front of your mirror and getting over the awkwardness, to acting like a movie director analyzing your own bedroom, to fighting through heavyweight books at the English gym and mimicking TV subtitles with Oscar-worthy emotion.
The overarching truth here is that fluency is entirely in your own hands. You do not need to wait for a teacher, a tutor, or a native-speaking friend to suddenly appear in your life. You possess all the tools you need to succeed right now, today.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want you to think about how you are going to apply this immediately. Do not just listen to this and move on to the next thing. Pick one technique and try it today.
I will leave you with this final provocative thought. If the mirror is your greatest teacher and your everyday life is your ultimate classroom, what is the very first conversation you are going to have with yourself as soon as this deep dive ends?
That is the perfect question to end on. Remember, your voice is absolutely worth hearing, even if right now you are the only one listening to it. Keep practicing, drop the excuses, stay endlessly curious, and keep finding your own unique voice in English. Until next time, keep speaking.